Teamwork. I want to share with you the essential aspects of teamwork, how working together in a respectful, reliable, and communicative way can lead to collective success in any organization. This module on teamwork is designed to help you understand the key elements that contribute to effective collaboration, including self-respect, mutual respect, reliability, and open communication. By mastering these principles, you can enhance your ability to work as part of a team, improve relationships with colleagues, and contribute to the overall success of your organization. Respecting yourself and others. Teamwork begins with a foundation of respect, both for yourself and for others. A healthy self-respect comes from having a good self-image, which is not based on comparisons with others, but on an understanding of who you are. When you respect yourself, you are more likely to respect others, accepting them for their strengths and weaknesses. This mutual respect is crucial for creating a positive team environment where everyone feels valued and able to contribute their best. Understanding the importance of respecting yourself and others is critical because it fosters a supportive and collaborative work environment. When team members respect each other, they are more likely to communicate openly, work together harmoniously, and resolve conflicts constructively. However, a lack of respect can lead to misunderstandings, conflicts, and a breakdown in team dynamics, ultimately hindering the achievement of organizational goals. Demonstrating reliability and integrity. Reliability and integrity are essential qualities for any team member. Reliability means consistently performing your duties and meeting your commitments, even in challenging circumstances. Integrity involves aligning your actions with your values, being honest, and maintaining transparency in your interactions. Together, these qualities build trust among team members, making you a preferred choice for collaboration. The ability to demonstrate reliability and integrity is vital for successful teamwork. By being dependable and trustworthy, you help create a stable and reliable team environment where everyone can count on each other to do their part. Conversely, if you lack reliability or integrity, you may find it difficult to build trust with your colleagues, which can lead to isolation and reduced effectiveness within the team. Communicating in teams, meetings, discussions, and conferences. Effective communication is the backbone of any successful team. This section covers the importance of clear, respectful communication in various settings, including meetings, discussions, and conferences. Whether you're brainstorming ideas in an informal discussion or presenting updates in a formal meeting, how you communicate can significantly impact the outcome. Mastering team communication is crucial because it ensures that everyone is on the same page, reduces the risk of misunderstandings, and facilitates collaboration. By engaging in open and respectful communication, you can contribute to a positive team dynamic and help achieve the team's goals. Poor communication, on the other hand, can lead to confusion, frustration, and a lack of coordination, undermining the team's efforts. The Johari window, building trust in teams. The Johari window is a tool used to build trust and improve communication within teams. It involves sharing information about yourself and receiving feedback from others to increase the open area, the part of the window where both you and others know the same information. By expanding this area, you create a more transparent and trusting environment within your team. Understanding and using the Johari window is important for fostering trust and openness in your team. By actively engaging in self-disclosure and seeking feedback, you can improve your relationships with colleagues and create a more cohesive team. Failing to build this trust can lead to a lack of transparency, reduced collaboration, and difficulties in working together effectively. Respecting self and others in team dynamics. Respect within a team goes beyond mere politeness. It involves a deep understanding of yourself and others. Knowing your strengths and weaknesses, listening more than you speak, and accepting chaos while finding clarity are all aspects of respecting yourself and others in a team. These behaviors help maintain harmony even during conflicts and ensure that the team can work together effectively. Respecting yourself and others is essential for maintaining a positive team environment. By embracing these principles, you can contribute to a culture of mutual respect, where team members feel valued and supported. On the other hand, a lack of respect can lead to conflicts, reduced morale, and a breakdown in teamwork, ultimately affecting the team's ability to achieve its goals. Reliability and integrity in teamwork. Reliability and integrity are not just personal virtues. They are essential for effective teamwork. When team members can rely on each other and trust that everyone will act with integrity, it creates a strong foundation for collaboration. This trust allows for open sharing of information, constructive feedback, and a focus on collective success rather than individual accolades. Emphasizing reliability and integrity in teamwork is critical for building a strong, cohesive team. By consistently demonstrating these qualities, you help create an environment where trust and cooperation thrive, leading to more successful outcomes. Conversely, if these qualities are lacking, it can lead to distrust, miscommunication, and a fragmented team that struggles to work together effectively. Communicating in teams. Effective meetings and discussions. Meetings and discussions are formal and informal ways for team members to communicate and collaborate. Whether it's a kickoff meeting, status update, or a brainstorming session, the goal is always to share information, resolve issues, and align on objectives. Effective meetings are well prepared with clear agendas and a focus on outcomes, while discussions allow for more flexible, creative exchanges of ideas. Mastering the art of team communication through effective meetings and discussions is essential for achieving team goals. By preparing thoroughly, listening actively, and focusing on outcomes, you can ensure that your meetings are productive and that your team stays aligned on its objectives. Poorly managed meetings or discussions, on the other hand, can lead to wasted time, unresolved issues, and a lack of progress. This module emphasizes the importance of teamwork, providing insights into how respect, reliability, integrity, and effective communication can enhance collaboration and lead to collective success in any organization.
Core principles of teamwork are really about how you relate to yourself and others. In my experience, the best teams function when people respect themselves first, then extend that respect to those they work with. It's not about individual glory. Teamwork means recognizing that you are part of a bigger system, where cooperation and collaboration make everything flow more smoothly. You might like to try focusing less on personal achievement and more on how your contributions help the team move forward. When you do that, you'll notice that work becomes easier and relationships become more natural. I have seen that people who are reliable and act with integrity tend to be the most valued in any workplace. Reliability isn't just about showing up on time. It's about consistently doing what you say you will do, meeting deadlines, and being dependable when things get tough. Integrity, on the other hand, is about being honest, transparent, and standing by your values, even when no one is watching. If you find yourself struggling in a team environment, it would help if you focused on how reliable you are and whether others see you as someone they can trust. Small, consistent actions build a solid reputation over time. Meetings are one of those things that people either dread or find useful. It all depends on how they are run. You might like to try approaching meetings with a clear purpose and preparation. I have seen that the most productive meetings are the ones where people come with an agenda, focus on solutions rather than problems, and listen actively instead of just waiting for their turn to speak. If you ever feel like meetings at your workplace are a waste of time, it could be worth suggesting a clearer structure or even reducing unnecessary ones. Keeping things direct and professional while allowing room for open discussion makes a huge difference. One of the most important lessons I've learned about teamwork is that clear and respectful communication makes everything easier. It would help if you always assumed positive intent when dealing with colleagues. Most people are just trying to do their job the best way they know how. If misunderstandings happen, I've found that addressing them early and directly prevents bigger issues down the line. You might like to try listening more than you speak, especially in team discussions. When people feel heard, they are more likely to collaborate willingly, and that's when real teamwork happens. Teamwork is at the heart of any successful organization. In my experience, no one truly works alone. Whether directly or indirectly, you rely on others to get things done. You might like to try shifting your perspective from my work to our work, because everything you do contributes to a bigger picture. It's not about losing your individuality, but about understanding how your role fits into the larger system. When you start seeing teamwork this way, you'll find that collaboration becomes more natural and work feels less like a solo struggle. I have seen that the best teams balance cooperation and collaboration. Cooperation is when you willingly share information or resources to help someone else do their job better, while collaboration is about actively working together on a shared goal. If you ever feel like teamwork isn't working smoothly, it might help to ask yourself whether you're giving and receiving support in the right way. Are you making it easy for others to work with you? Are you open to input from others? The way you interact with your team can make a huge difference in how productive and enjoyable your work environment is. One of the challenges I've noticed in many workplaces is that people can get caught up in individual recognition rather than team success. You might like to try focusing less on proving your worth and more on contributing in a way that benefits the group. The truth is, when the team succeeds, everyone benefits, including you. If you start prioritizing teamwork over personal achievement, you'll likely find that opportunities come to you more naturally, and you'll gain the trust and respect of your colleagues without having to chase after it. Being part of a team also means recognizing that you're part of a chain. Your work impacts others, and theirs impacts you. I have seen that the strongest teams are the ones where people take responsibility, not just for their tasks, but for how their work affects the group. If you ever feel frustrated with teamwork, it would help if you took a step back and looked at how information, tasks, and decisions flow through the team. Sometimes a simple shift in awareness can make working with others much smoother and less stressful. I have found that one of the biggest challenges in teamwork is understanding how you see yourself versus how others see you. You might like to try thinking of teamwork as more than just getting tasks done. It's also about learning how to communicate openly, build trust, and understand different perspectives. One tool that helps with this is something called the Johari window, which breaks down what you know about yourself and what others know about you. The goal is to expand the open space where everyone is on the same page, because the more transparent you are, the easier it is to collaborate. In my experience, feedback is one of the quickest ways to improve teamwork. There are always things about ourselves that we don't see clearly, but others do. If you've ever been surprised by feedback, that's your blind spot, something your colleagues noticed but you weren't aware of. It would help if you asked for feedback more often, not just when something goes wrong. You don't have to take everything personally. Instead, see it as useful information that can help you work better with your team. The more you're open to feedback, the more trust you build, and the fewer misunderstandings you'll have. On the other hand, there are things you know about yourself that your team doesn't. This is your hidden area. Maybe you have skills, ideas, or insights that you haven't shared. You might like to try opening up more about what you can contribute, because teams work best when people feel free to bring their full abilities to the table. I have seen that when people start sharing more, whether it's knowledge, challenges, or even personal experiences, it creates a stronger, more connected team. Then there's the unknown area, things that neither you nor your team realize about you until you're put in new situations. Sometimes teamwork brings out strengths you didn't even know you had. I have seen people discover leadership skills, creative problem-solving abilities, or even a knack for handling conflict, simply because they were given the right opportunity. It would help if you stayed open to new challenges, because they might reveal something valuable about yourself. The more you explore, share, and learn, the stronger your teamwork will become. I have seen that most teamwork problems aren't really about skill or effort. They come down to communication. You might like to try paying closer attention to how you share information, how you listen, and how you respond to others. The way you communicate directly affects how smoothly the team functions. When people are open, clear, and respectful in their communication, collaboration becomes effortless. On the other hand, when there are misunderstandings, assumptions, or a lack of transparency, even the most talented teams struggle to get things done efficiently. One of the most powerful ways to strengthen teamwork is by giving and receiving feedback effectively. I have noticed that people often hesitate to share feedback because they worry about offending someone or being misunderstood. But when done with respect, feedback actually helps build trust. It would help if you approached feedback as a way to support and improve rather than criticize. If you're on the receiving end, try to see it as useful insight rather than personal judgment. The more openly feedback flows within a team, the fewer surprises and frustrations there will be. Another key to great teamwork is sharing information openly. You might like to try expanding the amount of relevant information you share with your team. I have seen people struggle because they assume others know what they're thinking or expect teammates to just figure it out. But no one can read minds, and assumptions lead to mistakes. If something is important, say it clearly. If you need help, ask for it. If you see a potential issue, bring it up before it becomes a bigger problem. The more transparent and proactive you are, the better the team functions. I have also noticed that the best teams balance talking and listening. Some people dominate conversations, while others hold back too much. It would help if you made a habit of both expressing your thoughts and making space for others to contribute. If you tend to speak a lot, try pausing and actively listening. If you're usually quiet, challenge yourself to voice your ideas more often. When everyone feels heard and valued, teamwork naturally improves, and the work becomes more enjoyable for everyone. I have seen that reliability is one of the most valued traits in any team. You might like to try thinking of it as more than just showing up on time or completing tasks. It's about consistently following through on what you say you'll do. When your team knows they can depend on you, trust grows naturally and collaboration becomes smoother. On the other hand, when reliability is lacking, frustration builds and work slows down because people start second guessing each other. If you want to strengthen your role in a team, it would help if you focused on being someone others can count on, no matter the situation. I have noticed that truly reliable people take ownership of their work. You might like to try making it a habit to update your team proactively, rather than waiting to be asked. If a deadline is at risk, letting others know in advance allows the team to adjust instead of scrambling at the last minute. It's not about being perfect. It's about being honest and responsible. If you ever find yourself overwhelmed, it would help if you communicated that early so your team knows what to expect. Small habits like this make a huge difference in how people perceive your reliability. In my experience, reliability isn't just about individual effort. It's also about how well you coordinate with others. You might like to try paying attention to how your work impacts the next person in the process. Teams function like a chain, and if one link is weak, it affects the entire workflow. If you're late with something, it's not just your delay, it's a ripple effect on everyone who depends on your part being done. It would help if you kept that bigger picture in mind and made sure you're delivering your work in a way that keeps the team moving forward. One thing I've learned is that reliability builds over time through consistency. You might like to try thinking about it as a habit rather than a one-time effort. Even small actions like responding to messages promptly, keeping your commitments, and staying engaged in discussions show your team that you're dependable. When people trust that you'll do what you say, they naturally give you more responsibility and respect. If you want to grow in any organization, being reliable is one of the simplest yet most powerful ways to stand out. I have seen that integrity is one of those qualities that truly sets people apart in a team. You might like to try thinking of it as more than just honesty. It's about being consistent in your actions, values, and principles, even when no one is watching. Teams function best when people can trust that what is said matches what is done. If you say you'll do something, follow through. If you make a mistake, own up to it. I have noticed that when people demonstrate integrity, they not only earn respect, but also create an environment where others feel safe to be open and honest as well. It would help if you stayed true to your values, even when things get difficult. In my experience, there will always be moments when cutting corners or taking an easier path seems tempting. Maybe it's avoiding responsibility for a mistake, staying silent about something that needs to be addressed, or taking credit for someone else's work. But I have found that the short-term gains of those choices never outweigh the long-term impact on your reputation and relationships. Integrity isn't about perfection. It's about choosing the right action, even when it's inconvenient. One of the best ways to strengthen integrity in a team is through transparency. You might like to try being clear about your decisions and the reasons behind them. If something changes, explain why. If you disagree with something, express it respectfully instead of pretending to agree. I have seen that teams that communicate openly about their challenges rather than hiding issues are always stronger. It would help if you encouraged this kind of openness in your own interactions, because when integrity becomes the norm, it creates a culture of trust and accountability. I have noticed that integrity also means treating others fairly, regardless of the situation. It would help if you remembered that how you act under pressure says a lot about your character. If things go wrong, do you take responsibility or look for someone to blame? If a colleague is struggling, do you offer support or distance yourself? Small moments like these define your integrity over time. You might like to try making fairness and honesty a habit, even in situations where it's easier to do otherwise. When people know they can trust your word and your actions, you naturally become someone they want to work with and rely on. I have seen that the best teams thrive on open discussions, yet many workplaces struggle with them. You might like to try thinking of discussions as a space for exchanging ideas rather than proving a point. A good discussion isn't about winning. It's about understanding different perspectives, finding solutions, and making better decisions together. If you ever feel like discussions in your team are unproductive, it would help if you focused on creating an environment where people feel comfortable sharing their thoughts without fear of being dismissed or judged. One of the biggest mistakes I have noticed in team discussions is that people listen just to respond instead of truly understanding what's being said. You might like to try pausing before jumping in with your opinion and instead ask clarifying questions or summarize what you heard. This not only ensures that you fully grasp the other person's point, but also shows that you value their input. It would help if you also paid attention to the balance of voices in a discussion. If the same few people always dominate, encourage quieter members to share their thoughts. Sometimes the best insights come from those who take time to process before speaking. I have found that discussions become more effective when there's a clear purpose. If a conversation starts going in circles, it would help if you brought it back to the main goal. Are you brainstorming, solving a problem, or making a decision? You might like to try setting a simple structure, like summarizing key takeaways before moving on, so discussions don't turn into endless debates. It's easy to get lost in details, but keeping the focus on what needs to be accomplished helps ensure that conversations lead to action rather than just more talk. The best discussions also require a level of emotional intelligence. I have seen that tone, body language, and choice of words can either build or break a conversation. If tensions rise, it would help if you stayed calm and brought the focus back to facts rather than personal disagreements. You might like to try phrasing things in a way that encourages collaboration. Using we instead of you can make a big difference. A discussion should feel like a shared effort, not a battle. And when handled well, it becomes one of the most powerful tools for teamwork. I have seen that meetings can either be a powerful tool for teamwork or a complete waste of time. It all depends on how they're run. You might like to try approaching meetings with a clear purpose rather than just treating them as routine check-ins. Before stepping into a meeting, it would help if you asked yourself or your team, why are we meeting? What do we need to accomplish? The most productive meetings stay focused on specific goals, whether that's making decisions, solving problems, or sharing critical updates. If there's no clear reason for a meeting, it might be better handled through a quick discussion or an email instead. One of the biggest issues I have noticed is that meetings often drag on longer than necessary. It would help if you set a time limit and stuck to it. You might like to try structuring meetings with a simple agenda, even if it's informal. Just a few bullet points outlining what needs to be covered can keep things on track. I have seen that when people know the meeting has a clear direction, They are more likely to stay engaged rather than zoning out or multitasking. If a conversation starts drifting off topic, gently steering it back helps keep things productive. I have found that meetings work best when there's a balance between speaking and listening. If you're leading the meeting, it would help if you made sure everyone has a chance to contribute, rather than letting just one or two voices dominate. You might like to try actively encouraging input from quieter team members by asking for their thoughts directly. At the same time, if you tend to speak a lot, it could be useful to pause and make space for others. Meetings should feel collaborative, not like a lecture. Most importantly, I have seen that a meeting should always end with clear next steps. It would help if you made sure that everyone leaves knowing who is responsible for what and when things need to be done. You might like to try quickly summarizing key takeaways before wrapping up, so there's no confusion about action items. A meeting without follow-through is just talk, but a well-run meeting with clear decisions and responsibilities can make teamwork smoother and more efficient. I have seen that not all meetings serve the same purpose, yet many workplaces treat them as if they do. You might like to try recognizing the type of meeting you're in before diving in, as this can help you adjust your approach and expectations. Some meetings are meant for brainstorming, others for updates, and some for decision-making. If you ever find yourself frustrated in a meeting, it would help if you asked whether the structure matches the purpose. Sometimes meetings feel unproductive simply because they aren't designed with the right outcome in mind. Kickoff meetings, for example, set the foundation for a project. I have found that these meetings work best when everyone gets clarity on roles, goals, and expectations right from the start. You might like to try using this time to ask questions and ensure that nothing is left unclear before the work begins. On the other hand, status update meetings should be short and focused. I have noticed that these often turn into long discussions about minor details, but they should really be about quick progress checks and flagging issues that need attention. If updates are dragging on, it would help if you kept contributions concise and solution-oriented. I have seen that information sharing meetings, like training sessions or briefings, can feel overwhelming if too much is covered at once. You might like to try taking notes on key points rather than trying to absorb everything at once. If you're leading an information sharing meeting, it would help if you kept things engaging and encouraged questions, so people walk away with a clear understanding rather than just a flood of information. Similarly, interface meetings, where teams, clients, or departments align, require a little more patience. I have noticed that these meetings work best when expectations are clearly defined up front, so everyone knows what they need from each other. The key to making any meeting effective is knowing what you're there for and adjusting accordingly. If you're in a brainstorming session, it would help if you allowed ideas to flow without shutting them down too quickly. If you're in a decision-making meeting, you might like to try focusing on action steps rather than just discussion. In my experience, meetings feel far more productive when everyone understands their purpose and keeps the conversation aligned with what actually needs to get done. I have seen that meetings are only as good as the way they are run. You might like to try treating them as structured conversations rather than just time slots on a calendar. A good meeting has a clear goal, stays focused, and leads to real action afterward. If you ever feel like meetings in your workplace are dragging on without purpose, it would help if you suggested setting a specific agenda in advance. Even a simple list of topics can keep discussions on track and prevent unnecessary side conversations. One of the biggest mistakes I have noticed is that people come to meetings unprepared, which wastes everyone's time. You might like to try reviewing any relevant information beforehand so you can contribute meaningfully rather than figuring things out on the spot. If you're leading a meeting, it would help if you set expectations early. Let people know what's going to be covered and what kind of input is needed from them. I have found that when everyone knows why they're there and what's expected, meetings run far more smoothly and don't feel like a chore. I have also noticed that meetings go off track when too many people speak at once or when side discussions take over. It would help if you encouraged a balance between speaking and listening. If you tend to talk a lot, you might like to try pausing and giving space for others to contribute. If you're quieter, making an effort to share your thoughts can make meetings more valuable. Meetings should be collaborative, not just a platform for a few voices to dominate. Keeping discussions respectful, on topic, and solution-oriented makes a big difference. One of the most important things I have learned is that meetings should always end with clear action steps. You might like to try summarizing key decisions before wrapping up, making sure that everyone knows who is responsible for what and by when. A meeting without follow-through is just a conversation, but a meeting that results in clear tasks and accountability actually moves work forward. If you ever feel like meetings aren't leading anywhere, it would help if you focused on making sure next steps are clearly defined and communicated before leaving the room. I have seen that video and virtual meetings can be just as effective as in-person ones if they're handled well. You might like to try treating them with the same level of professionalism as face-to-face meetings, rather than seeing them as a more casual alternative. It would help if you made sure your setup is distraction-free, your connection is stable, and you're fully present, just as you would be in a physical meeting room. I have noticed that when people take virtual meetings seriously, they run much more smoothly and everyone feels more engaged. One of the biggest challenges I have seen with virtual meetings is that people tend to multitask, whether it's checking emails or working on something else in the background. You might like to try giving the meeting your full attention, just as you'd expect from others. It would help if you also used video when possible, as I have noticed that meetings where people can see each other create a stronger sense of connection. If video isn't an option, actively participating through your voice or chat can still make a big difference in keeping the discussion interactive. I have found that clear communication matters even more in virtual settings. It would help if you spoke clearly, avoided talking over others, and use tools like the mute button wisely. You might like to try pausing slightly before speaking to make sure you're not cutting someone off, since online delays can make timing tricky. If you're leading a virtual meeting, setting expectations early, such as asking people to mute when not speaking or encouraging engagement through chat, helps keep things organized and prevents unnecessary interruptions. One thing I have noticed is that virtual meetings should be kept shorter than in-person ones whenever possible. People tend to get fatigued more quickly online, so it would help if you focused on the key points and avoided dragging discussions longer than necessary. You might like to try wrapping up with a quick summary of decisions and next steps so everyone knows what to do after logging off. A well-run virtual meeting can be just as effective as an in-person one, but it requires a little extra effort in communication, engagement, and structure to make it work. I have seen that teamwork and meetings are only as effective as the effort people put into them. You might like to try focusing on how you contribute to your team rather than just what you get out of it. When people approach teamwork with openness, cooperation, and a willingness to communicate clearly, everything runs more smoothly. It would help if you remembered that successful teams aren't built overnight. They develop through trust, reliability, and consistent effort from every member. The more you invest in making teamwork work, the easier and more enjoyable your daily interactions will be. One thing I have noticed is that communication plays a bigger role in teamwork than most people realize. You might like to try being more intentional about how you share information, listen, and respond to others. Meetings, discussions, and even informal conversations all contribute to how well a team functions. It would help if you focused on being clear, concise, and respectful in your communication. When misunderstandings happen, addressing them early prevents bigger problems down the road. I have found that teams that communicate well tend to be more productive, less stressed, and more collaborative. Reliability and integrity are two of the most valuable qualities you can bring to a team. I have seen that when people know they can count on you, trust builds naturally. You might like to try focusing on consistency, following through on commitments, keeping others informed, and being honest about challenges. It would help if you also held yourself to the same standards you expect from others. Integrity isn't just about big decisions. It's reflected in small daily actions like owning up to mistakes, being transparent, and treating teammates fairly. Meetings, whether in person or virtual, should be purposeful and well structured. I have noticed that people often feel meetings are a waste of time when they lack direction or clear outcomes. You might like to try approaching meetings with a plan, knowing what needs to be discussed and what decisions should be made. It would help if you also made sure meetings stay focused, allowing space for everyone to contribute without letting discussions drift aimlessly. A good meeting should leave people feeling informed, aligned, and ready to take action. One of the biggest takeaways from all of this is that teamwork isn't just about completing tasks. It's about creating an environment where people can do their best work together. You might like to try paying attention to how you interact with colleagues, how you handle challenges, and how you contribute to the overall dynamic of your team. I have found that when people take teamwork seriously, everything from productivity to job satisfaction improves. And it would help if you saw teamwork not as a requirement, but as an opportunity to build relationships, learn, and create something better together.
Using the Johari window to improve teamwork. Over the years, I've realized that one of the biggest challenges in teamwork is balancing what we know about ourselves with how others perceive us. The Johari window is a fantastic tool to bridge that gap and foster better communication, collaboration, and trust within a team. Let me walk you through how you can use this model to enhance teamwork and create a more open, cohesive environment. What is the Johari window? The Johari window was developed by Joseph Luft and Harry Ingham as part of transactional analysis to help people understand themselves and others better. It's a simple yet powerful framework that divides personal awareness into 4 quadrants. By exploring these quadrants, you can improve self-awareness and teamwork by identifying areas where communication and understanding can grow. The 4 quadrants of the Johari window. This is what you know about yourself and what others know about you. For example, if you're a strong communicator and your team acknowledges this, it falls into the open area. Expanding this quadrant is key to building trust and transparency. Blind spot. This is what others see in you, but you may not recognize about yourself. For instance, you might be unaware that you often interrupt others during meetings, but your team notices it. Identifying blind spots helps you address behaviors that might unknowingly impact teamwork. Hidden area. This is what you know about yourself, but keep hidden from others. For example, you may feel insecure about your technical skills, but choose not to share this with your team. Revealing some of your hidden area can foster vulnerability and create deeper connections. Unknown area. This is what neither you nor others know about you. For instance, you may have untapped leadership potential that hasn't been discovered yet. Exploring this area can lead to surprising growth and opportunities for both you and your team. How to use the Johari window in teamwork. Reflect on yourself. Start by listing your traits, strengths, and weaknesses. What do you think others see in you? This self-reflection helps you define your open area and begin identifying potential blind spots or hidden areas. Discuss with others. Share your list with your team and invite feedback. For example, you could ask them, "What do you think are my strengths or areas for improvement?" This feedback not only expands your open area, but also uncovers blind spots that you weren't aware of. Improve self-awareness. As you receive feedback, be open and receptive. For example, if a teammate tells you that your emails often come across as too abrupt, consider how you can adjust your communication style. Use this information to refine your behavior and align better with team dynamics. How to draw the Johari window. Drawing the Johari window is simple and can be done as a group exercise. 1. Start with a 2x2 grid. Draw a square and divide it into 4 equal quadrants. 2. Label the quadrants. Label them: open area, blind spot, hidden area, and unknown area. 3. Fill in the quadrants. As a team, collaboratively fill in the open area with what everyone agrees is known about you. Then, individually identify potential blind spots and hidden areas. This visual exercise creates a shared understanding of team dynamics and opens the door for deeper collaboration. Benefits of using the Johari window. Increase self-awareness. Understanding how others perceive you helps you identify blind spots and areas for growth. This self-awareness is the foundation for personal and professional development. Improved communication. When you expand your open area by sharing more about yourself and inviting feedback, it fosters clearer, more honest communication within the team. Enhance teamwork. By addressing blind spots and revealing some of your hidden area, you create trust and understanding among teammates. This leads to stronger collaboration and a more unified team. How to incorporate the Johari window into your team's routine. You don't need to wait for formal workshops to use the Johari window. Start by incorporating it into team building sessions or one-on-one feedback discussions. For example, dedicate a portion of your next meeting to exploring one quadrant, such as the open area, and encouraging everyone to share what they know about themselves and their teammates. The takeaway. The Johari window is more than just a tool. It's a mindset that encourages self-awareness, trust, and communication. By using it regularly, you'll not only improve your understanding of yourself and your teammates, but also create a stronger, more cohesive team. Give it a try, and you'll be amazed at how it transforms your teamwork dynamics. Detailed guide to building a Johari window. The Johari window isn't about physical windows, but rather a powerful framework for improving self-awareness and communication. Think of it as a metaphorical window into how you understand yourself and how others see you. Let me walk you through the steps of building a Johari window in detail, breaking it down into its key elements: the quadrants, elevations, sections, and details that represent your personal and interpersonal dynamics. The types of Johari window quadrants. Open area. This is the quadrant where information about you is known both to yourself and others. For example, your strengths, such as being a team player or excellent at meeting deadlines, may fall into this quadrant. The goal is to expand this area as much as possible to improve trust and communication. Blind spot. This quadrant includes things others know about you that you don't recognize. For example, you might interrupt others during conversations without realizing it. Feedback from colleagues helps reveal and address these blind spots. Hidden area. This quadrant contains information you know about yourself but keep hidden from others. For instance, you may feel insecure about certain skills or have personal challenges that you haven't shared. Choosing to reveal aspects of your hidden area can foster deeper connections with your team. Unknown area. This represents traits or abilities neither you nor others are aware of. It could include untapped potential or unconscious behaviors. Exploring this quadrant can lead to surprising personal growth. How to draw the Johari window. How to draw the open area. Start by identifying what you know about yourself and what others also know. For example, you could list strengths like communication skills or your ability to stay calm under pressure. These are shared traits that fall into your open area. How to draw the blind spot. Next, seek feedback from your peers or colleagues about how they perceive you. Ask questions like, what's something I might not realize about how I work or communicate? As they share their observations, add these traits to the blind spot quadrant. How to draw the hidden area. Reflect on the traits or feelings you choose to keep private. It could be anything from personal insecurities to your long-term career goals. Write these down in the hidden area. Consider which aspects you might want to share to build trust with your team. How to draw the unknown area. This area remains blank initially as it represents traits that are yet to be discovered. Over time, through feedback, self-reflection, and new experiences, you might uncover hidden talents or behaviors that belong here. Understanding the elevations in a Johari window. What is an elevation? An elevation in this context refers to the height or emphasis placed on each quadrant. Ideally, the open area should have the largest elevation, reflecting transparency and trust. How to draw an elevation. Visualize the open area expanding upward as you share more about yourself and invite feedback. Use team exercises, feedback sessions, and open communication to grow this elevation. Types of elevations. Healthy elevation. A large open area indicates strong self-awareness and team trust. Unbalanced elevation. A large blind spot or hidden area suggests the need for more feedback or sharing, respectively. Exploring sections in the Johari window. What is a section? Sections refer to the distinct parts of the Johari window: open, blind, hidden, unknown, and how they interact. How to draw a section. Focus on one quadrant at a time. For example, spend a feedback session discussing blind spots to make that section smaller while growing the open area. Types of sections. Dynamic sections. These change over time with feedback and self-awareness. Static sections. These remain unchanged when feedback and sharing aren't actively pursued. Delving into the details of a Johari window. What are details? Details represent the specific traits, behaviors, or insights that populate each quadrant. These could be skills, weaknesses, habits, or aspirations. How to draw details. In the open area, include details like strong presenter or good listener. In the blind spot, add feedback such as offense over others. In the hidden area, write things like struggles with self-confidence. Leave space in the unknown area for discoveries like potential for leadership. Types of details. Observable actions like arrives on time or engages during meetings. Emotional details. Feelings like proud of achievements or anxious about deadlines. How to use the Johari window for growth. Building a Johari window is an ongoing process. Schedule regular check-ins with yourself and your team to update and refine each quadrant. The more open and engaged you are, the larger your open area becomes, fostering better communication and stronger teamwork. The takeaway: by breaking down the Johari window into these manageable parts, quadrants, elevations, sections, and details, you can systematically improve self-awareness and team dynamics. Whether you're leading a team or working on personal growth, the Johari window is a tool that helps you navigate relationships with clarity and purpose.